In this last video for the class, I want to talk about the future of environmental security and climate security research and practice going forward. To that end, we read a piece from Tobias and collaborators, which brought together 6 different perspectives on environmental peace building and sought to surface their core insights and how these different research traditions might learn from each other. So there's a research tradition on environmental change and human security. There's another on climate change and armed conflict. There's another emergent literature on environmental peace building. There's an approach of political ecology. There's another on securitization of the environment, as well as an approach of decolonizing environmental security. And all of these different traditions should be in conversation with each other to help us better understand what do we mean by security, whose security matters. Are we talking about state security? Are we talking about impacts on communities and individuals, so more human security? Should this issue set even be securitized? Is labeling this problem set a security issue a useful intervention and meaningful? Are there ways in which the negative impacts of environmental harm can be interrupted, whether it be armed conflict risk reduced or the risk of human security impact on communities reduced? What are the interventions that can make those less likely? And to what extent are there social vulnerabilities, political factors, and hierarchies in the international system that are really driving negative security impacts more so than the physical hazards themselves? These are the pieces that this article from Ide and collaborators discussed. Beyond this particular article, my own view is that the field of climate environmental security needs to continue in exploring what the particular pathways that link environmental change to negative security outcomes, that pathways work that we talked about earlier in the semester through migration, through impacts on agriculture, through impacts on economic growth, and others need to continue to be explored. That there also needs to be more of a coming to grips with talking about the future, since the learning from the past through forensic analysis, as we typically do as academics, may tell us little about a future world of climate change in which the geography and the severity of the impacts may be very different. So what approaches do we have that are defensible, that allow us to talk about the future? We also need to do more to discuss the intersection between environmental degradation and climate change. The climate conversation is superseded the environmental security conversation, but there are other forms of environmental degradation, such as deforestation, that aren't simply climate problems, that we need to see how those intersect with climate change and potentially contribute to negative security outcomes. We also need to continually discuss whether or not we're over-securitizing these issue sets. Is this leading to negative outcomes with the securitization of everything? Beyond this consideration, we also need to think beyond just short-run, acute weather emergencies and the potential negative security impacts of long-lived processes like multi-decadal drought or changes in rainfall patterns or temperature patterns that extend beyond either a severe weather emergency on a short, swift onset basis, or even over a period of months, like slow onset droughts. So that interrogation of long-lived climate drivers and the impacts on security outcomes needs to be researched in more detail. Beyond this, we need to have a better sense of what interventions interrupt those processes of negative security outcomes, like armed conflict and extreme humanitarian emergencies. Are there interventions that can prevent those outcomes from occurring. We need to have a better sense of what those interventions are. Finally, the whole field of climate security evolved in the wake of the attacks of September 11th, 2001, when the world became seized by the idea that other drivers could have negative security impacts and contribute to instability around the world, particularly in the global south. And that concern about anarchy anywhere being the preoccupation of the great powers has dissipated on some level with the rise of geopolitical competition. And that means that the community of practice and research that sprung up to respond to climate security impacts needs to articulate why this issue set remains important for the great powers of the world that may be asked to respond to these considerations. It's no longer accepted that problems emanating from instability in the global south are necessarily the concern of the international community. That has dissipated to a certain extent and may mean that these problems persist, but there isn't a community that's interested in responding to these concerns, either at the humanitarian level, the development level, or among security practitioners. But that will require more articulation from both researchers and practitioners about why these issues remain important. Beyond this, there are ways in which the responses to climate change, with the pursuit of critical minerals for the clean energy transition, with efforts by countries to shore up access to arable land and other ways to meet their needs, that these responses to climate change may lead to negative security outcomes in their own right. The most severe manifestation might be unilateral efforts by countries to geoengineer the atmosphere to protect themselves from climate change. All of these responses to climate change merit more interrogation by scholars going forward. So these are among the ways in which both the field of research and practice should evolve as we go forward. I hope you've enjoyed this video series on environmental and climate security. This is the first effort by me to create videos like this. I also have a companion series on global environmental governance. So I would encourage you to check out my YouTube page for that series. And I'll try to make refinements and updates in the future, but I at least wanted an audience beyond my students at UT to have an opportunity to interrogate some of these issues and be exposed to some of this work. So let me know if you find it interesting or if there are topics that you'd like to have me explore in the future. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.